San Francisco residents voted for a change candidate this cycle in Daniel Lurie. The Levi Strauss heir and nonprofit founder unseating Mayor London Breed in a closely watched race this fall as the future of the city hangs in the balance. Lurie's to-do list is long as the city makes a slow comeback from the pandemic and faces ongoing challenges in addressing drug addiction and homelessness on its streets. Joining me now is San Francisco's newest mayor-elect, Daniel Lurie. Thanks for being here, Daniel. Great to see you.
Thanks for having me, Kate.
So let's start from the top. Why do you think voters in San Francisco went with you, a more centrist Democrat, this election cycle? What were they looking for?
They were looking for common sense. They were looking for change and accountability. And as I talked about on the campaign trail, they wanted a government that works for the people, that delivers results. And that's why we won with such a large mandate.
And we've talked so much, you and I before, and also the city at large, about what needs to happen to revitalize downtown. How do you plan to tackle that?
Well, first, it starts with public safety. We have to make sure people and businesses feel safe sending their workers back downtown. And we need a fully staffed police department, sheriff's department, and 911 dispatch office. We need to make sure we get our behavioral health crisis under control, which means we need to build more mental health and drug treatment beds. We have to get people off the streets. We have to do that compassionately, but we also have to send a message, and we are, to the country and to the world, that San Francisco is no longer a place that you come to deal drugs or to do drugs or to sleep on our streets.
That brings me to the state of emergency. On day one, you say, over the fentanyl crisis in the city. In your mind, what does that look like? How does that pair with Home Run, your plan to put an end and help the homeless on our streets here in San Francisco? And will those two efforts be enough to see meaningful change in the short term for people in the city?
Listen, we have historic challenges ahead of us. There is no question about that. This is going to take us some time. So I want to be very clear-eyed about that with your viewers, that this does not happen overnight. We didn't get into this overnight, and it won't be fixed overnight. But when San Franciscans put their mind to something, we can accomplish anything. And so my message to your viewers around the country is San Francisco is on its way back. We are going to stand up more shelter beds. We're going to offer people bus tickets home. We're going to build those mental health and drug treatment beds. We are going to see significant changes on our streets in my first term, and business is going to be welcome back here in San Francisco.
And one of the challenges that you know well is refusal to accept services or turning them down. How do you get around that? Because it's such a challenging issue.
Yeah, so we're going to give people three options. One is a bed, a bed where they can go get shelter. Second is a bus ticket home. Third is those mental health and drug treatment beds that I referred to earlier. But there will be no more offers of being able to stay on the street. Tents will not be allowed on our streets. We have state laws now that allow us to mandate treatment. We have to build the beds to get people off the streets and into treatment. That's compassionate. But once again, let me be crystal clear. There will no longer be the availability to stay on our streets.
And you talked about remote workers, bringing people back downtown. How do you plan to do that? Do you think people want to come back downtown?
Well, we have to make it inviting again, and we have to make it safe and clean. And so that's on my administration. That's our responsibility. I'm reaching out to CEOs across this country and across the region and saying, we want you back here in San Francisco. And it also starts with City Hall going back to work 5 days a week. That's what I intend to do. That's my administration will be going back 5 days a week. We want to send a signal and role model for the private enterprises that we'd like them to come back 5 days a week as well. But that's on us to make sure our streets are safe, that they're clean, and that people want to come back down. We're sitting here, we're looking at the Ferry Building, Kate. There is no better place than downtown when we are at our best, and we will get back there.
Do you anticipate any pushback from your incoming administration about being in office 5 days a week? Because people have gotten so used to, flexible situations, remote work.
Yeah, we want people back in the offices. Room 200, which is my office in City Hall, we are all going back 5 days a week. I've started talking to department heads about it. These are ongoing conversations. But we're going to role model from the top of my administration. I will be in the office 5 days a week. I hope others will join me.
What if they don't?
We're going to have those conversations. My department heads, my administration will be back in 5 days a week.
And when you say you're reaching out to business leaders, executives around the country, what are you hearing from them about what they want to see in San Francisco if they are to return to office?
I've talked to Jamie Dimon. I talked to the commissioner of the NBA. They all want San Francisco to come back, and that's what's so exciting. I've met with all the elected leaders and supervisor-elects. We are all on the same page. We believe in San Francisco. We know that San Francisco is on its way back. We have the NBA All-Star Game. We have Super Bowl 60 coming. We have World Cup. We have the JP Morgan Healthcare Conference coming in January. We're excited to welcome the country and the world back to San Francisco.
And of course, the backbone of San Francisco is the tech sector, technology. You have some big tech names on your transition team. Sam Altman of OpenAI, Ned Siegel, formerly of Twitter. How will their experiences inform your transition and vision for the future of San Francisco?
Listen, I want to be crystal clear. San Francisco is open for business, and not just tech or AI. We want a diversity of businesses back here in San Francisco. I want arts and culture back here. I've had great conversations with Sam Altman. He wants to put down roots here in San Francisco. We want to lean into being the home of AI, which we are, and I will continue to invest in that. But we can't just have all of our eggs in one basket. We have to diversify what we bring back to San Francisco. We will go recruit companies from all sectors to come back to San Francisco, whether it's healthcare, whether it's technology, whether it's arts and culture. We want to be the number one spot for business again in this country.
And you mentioned AI, of course, Sam Altman. What does OpenAI represent for the future of San Francisco in your eyes?
Well, I love homegrown companies. We also have Anthropic. We have Salesforce. I mean, Salesforce is a role model in being a company that has invested in San Francisco. Levi's invested in San Francisco for over 160 years. We have companies that are great role models. I think Sam Altman and OpenAI is going to be that next standard bearer.
You mentioned Salesforce. They, of course, notoriously do have a remote work policy that seems pretty set in stone. Anything that you're doing to work on bringing those workers back?
I mean, but actually, Mark Benioff actually announced that they were coming back, I believe, 4 days a week. So we are seeing movement from the business sector back to a 4 or 5 day work week here in San Francisco. I know a lot of companies are back 4 or 5 days a week in New York City. I want that here in San Francisco, and I'm going to push for it wherever I can. And it'll start with me and my administration.
I want to turn to Ned Siegel and Twitter. So Twitter was supposed to kind of revitalize Market Street. Didn't really turn out that way, right? They're no longer there. A lot of the businesses around it didn't wind up working out for varying reasons. Yeah. Any lessons learned that he can bring to the transition team, or any lessons that you take from what went wrong there? What would you do differently?
Well, I think it worked at the beginning. I think COVID had a lot to do with this, but one thing that we need to do is when we incentivize companies back here to San Francisco, we need them invested in the community as well. And that's where my legacy at Tipping Point comes in. I know how to get companies to commit to community. Look at Visa. Visa has been incredible to the San Francisco community over the last 5, 6, 7 years now, and we need OpenAI to do that, Anthropic, Salesforce to continue to do that. So when you roll out the red carpet for business, I want people walking in, but I want them staying and committing to community, to investing philanthropically, investing in our arts and culture, making sure that it's a two-way street. It's not just a handout to business. It's a hand out, and it's going to be a partnership. And that's what I'm a demand of companies coming here. And I think they want that. I think it's good for their employees. It helps with retention. Companies that are invested in the community see higher retention rates. I learned that over 15, 20 years at Tipping Point. When companies got involved with our organization, their workers felt better. They stood up straighter, knowing that they were having an impact in their hometown.
And I know you're talking a lot about diversifying beyond just technology. Have we moved on from the techlash that you saw over the last decade with people being frustrated with tech companies or kind of speaking out against them, or the economic impact of those companies here leading too forward toward technology? What do you think about where we are in that cycle right now?
I think we need a balance. We always need a balance in whatever it is that we do. And yes, we went through some tough times. I worked closely with Salesforce during that time of backlash to make people understand that you have to be invested in the community, as I was just saying before. It can't be a one-way street. And it's also why we need to diversify. We don't just need tech back in San Francisco. We need our creative class here, again, being able to afford to live here. We need to build more housing here in San Francisco and, frankly, across the state of California. We have an affordability crisis. Companies coming back here have to understand that and be part of the solution. And so we are going to welcome businesses of all stripes and types back here. But I'm going to want them to work with us to improve the lives of everyday San Franciscans.
And more broadly in the general election, we saw a lot of the shift toward center and even right, kind of coming from San Francisco and technology leaders out here in San Francisco. What does that signify to you about the tech sector and its politics at large?
People want to say that we've done this rightward shift here in San Francisco. What we have done in San Francisco is get back to common sense with this election. It's about getting results for the people of San Francisco. Allowing people to struggle and die on our streets is not progressive, or that's not progressive San Francisco values. We don't wake up, Kate, in the morning. I know you live here in San Francisco, as I do and have for my entire life. You don't wake up thinking I'm a progressive this morning, or I'm a moderate, or I'm a conservative. I just want to be able to walk my kids to school and not have to explain to them why somebody is asleep or openly using drugs on the street. I want to get that person off the street and into the help that they need. I want small businesses feeling safe running their business each and every day and not worrying about somebody breaking in. That's not progressive or moderate or conservative. That's common sense, and San Francisco is back to common sense solutions and getting results for the people of our great city. Have you taken a Waymo yet? Yes, I have.
What's your experience been like?
Waymo was excellent, but so is our Muni. So we need both. I also bike around this great city. We need a multimodal transportation plan here in San Francisco, and we're going to get going on that. But Waymo was quite an experience, I have to say.
How do you feel about the city being a leader in driverless technology, and any regulatory advice you'd give to other cities who are kind of looking to do the same thing, model after what San Francisco's done here?
I always want us leading, whether it be on AI, whether it be on autonomous vehicles, whether it be on climate. We have ceded our leadership status on climate. I want to go get that back. So everything should start here in San Francisco, just as it always has. And I'm committed to making sure that we put guardrails in. We work with our state and federal officials to do just that. But I want us to lead. I want us to innovate. And entrepreneurs and innovators, if you're watching this, you're going to have a mayor that wants you here and wants you to be part of our community.
I can tell you're very excited about the new role. What do you think the most rewarding and most opportune point of this job will be for you as you take this on?
The idea of lifting up all San Franciscans. Kate, hope is alive and well here in San Francisco. We've been beaten down now for a number of years by people around this country and around the world. But when we are at our best, we are the greatest city in the world. I'm telling you, everybody watching this show, you're going to have to come back to San Francisco, because this is where it's at.
And to counter that, what do you see as the #1 challenge as you take this role on?
Yeah, it's actually been about combating the cynicism and the negativity that has pervaded the talk and the narrative of our great city. We have to counteract that by making sure we get people off the street. We make sure that we have a fully staffed police department, making sure that our small businesses are safe, that those big businesses that are going to bring their employees back downtown know that they're going to be safe down here. And that's our biggest challenge, overcoming the cynicism. But that's why we're going to counter it with hope and optimism, because San Francisco is the greatest city in the world.
Well, we look forward to seeing you step into this role as Mayor. Daniel Lurie, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Kate.